My cheater ex-wife made false allegations against me, and took everything. Now, she has passed away, and my daughters are calling me petty for not sitting in the family section. Will I be wrong to tell them the whole truth, even though it can destroy her memory for them? 15 years ago, my ex-wife and I divorced. She had been having an affair with someone I thought was a friend, and when I found out, she left. I didn't realize at the time how thoroughly she had prepared for this. She planned it all. By the time she moved out, she had drained our accounts, taken valuables, and hired a lawyer. She also made false allegations of domestic abuse, not only against her but against my 2 daughters as well. This was a complete lie. This gave her an upper hand in the custody battle. During the divorce, her family lied on her behalf, claiming they had seen me fly into rages, which was complete bullshit. I also found out in the following years they knew she was cheating with my friend for at least a year before the divorce. They, especially her mother, hid all this from me and helped to destroy my reputation. I lost almost all my longtime friends because of the lies they spread. The whole process was brutal. I lost nearly everything: our home, most of my savings, and, most painfully, custody of my 2 daughters. For the first year, I had supervised visits. After that, I was allowed 1 weekend a month and a few weeks in the summer, but no holidays. It wasn't worth dragging my daughters through a prolonged fight, so I agreed to the arrangement. For 2 dark years, I lived with my parents while trying to rebuild my life. It wasn't easy, but eventually, I found my footing again. It took years of hard work to move out of a small apartment and into a modest townhouse. Over time, I've healed, mostly. I've rebuilt my finances. My relationships with women were damaged for years after this, as I had severe trust issues and would never commit to anyone. It has only been recently that I have been able to work past these issues and give my most recent girlfriend the trust and love she deserves. Nobody is perfect. I wasn't the perfect husband, but I was loyal, kind, and worked hard to provide for my family. I in no way deserve to be destroyed like this. Recently, my ex-wife passed away from cancer. For my daughter's sake, I went to the funeral. I kept to myself, sitting at the back. When the service ended, I said goodbye, forgave her, and left. I thought it was the right thing to do, but now my daughters are upset with me. They are claiming that I was being petty. They feel like I should have sat with them in the family and friends section. What they don't know is the extent of what I went through. I would have had to sit among people who had betrayed me and destroyed my life and my family, and who never apologized or tried to make amends. I've never told my daughters the whole truth about what happened. They were young when the divorce happened, and I didn't want to burden them with adult issues. They've grown up believing their mother's lies. But they're adults, and maybe they deserve to know the truth, not to hurt them, but to help them understand why I couldn't sit with their mother's family and why I've kept my distance all these years. At the same time, I don't want to tarnish their memories of their mom. I don't want my girls to live the rest of their lives hating their mother's memory or their grandparents, but I also don't deserve to continue to be questioned and criticized when I am so standoffish about what happened to me in my past. Would it be wrong to tell them everything now? Update. Hey everyone, it's been 2 years since my last post, and I wanted to provide an update. After my original post, I decided to have a conversation with my daughters. Keeping the truth from them had been weighing on me, and I realized that they deserved to know what really happened between their mother and me. I sat down with my eldest daughter first. I told her about the affair, explaining that her mother had been involved with someone I once considered a close friend. I also revealed how, during the divorce, false allegations were made against me, which severely impacted our custody arrangement. To support what I was saying, I showed her evidence I'd kept over the years. This included emails and text messages between her mother and AP, financial records showing how our joint accounts were emptied, and legal documents that highlighted inconsistencies in the claims made against me. My daughter was understandably shocked and needed some time to process everything. She'd always been close to her mother's family, so this information was a lot to take in. Over the following weeks, we had several deep conversations. She asked questions, and I answered them as honestly as I could. Gradually, she began to understand why I'd been distant at the funeral and why our relationship had been strained. During one of these conversations, she mentioned a few things that gave me an idea of how her mother's side of the family had influenced her perspective of me. She didn't outright say anything negative. They're still her family, and I don't blame her for protecting them, but there were certain questions she asked, like whether I ever felt like my temper got out of control, or a few other things that made it clear she'd been told a specific narrative about me. It wasn't outright hostility, but it was enough to see how they'd shaped her view of me over the years. I didn't push her on it. I just answered her questions honestly and let her come to her own conclusions. My younger daughter was a bit more hesitant. She had a hard time believing that her mother and grandparents could have been involved in something so hurtful. I didn't want to force the information on her, so I let her know that I was there whenever she was ready to talk. It took a few months, but eventually, she reached out. We had a long conversation where I shared the same evidence and answered her questions. It was tough, but it felt like a necessary step toward healing. She, too, had some questions that hinted at how her perception of me had been influenced. She asked why I gave up so easily during the custody battle and if I ever regretted not fighting harder for them. I could tell those thoughts didn't come from her own experiences but were things she'd heard over the years. It was hard to hear, but I didn't blame her. I explained my reasoning and shared how much I had struggled with those decisions at the time. I think it helped her see things differently. Both of my daughters admitted that while it was difficult to hear, they appreciated my honesty. They said it helped them make sense of a lot of things from their childhood. They also acknowledged that they wished I'd told them sooner but understood why I hadn't. Since then, our relationships have improved significantly. We spend more time together now, dinners, weekend visits, even the occasional family trip. They've started involving me more in their lives, and I've gotten to know my grandchildren better. It's been heartwarming to reconnect on a deeper level. They've also had to reevaluate their relationships with their mother's family. It's been challenging for them, but they're handling it well. I've encouraged them to make their own decisions and have assured them that I support whatever they choose to do. As for me, I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders. Keeping all of that inside for so long was exhausting. My partner has been incredibly supportive throughout this whole process. She's been my rock, and I'm grateful to have her by my side. I want to thank everyone who offered advice and encouragement on my previous post. Your words helped a lot.